Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. I am Spartan2Era. Welcome back to Planet Base playthrough. So I uploaded a video earlier today, but I didn't put an image for it. It just has that blank default YouTube image, so I'm not sure if it'll spark some intrigue. Hopefully I'll be able to change that, maybe re-upload it, and alter that for this particular video. I'll be able to figure out. But anyway, we are going to go back to our colony, play Planet Base. You can just push the continue button, but I'll do it this way because I had a bit of an interruption when I was trying to make my second video. The first video I had quite a few interruptions and a few bad playthroughs. So here's where we left off. I was building the factory to produce some spare parts, so that way if those windmills break down, we can always fix them. So the breakdown with windmills and stuff like that is not, just a sudden breakdown. It's more of a progressive decay. So let me click on one of them. So you see here above the the condition. So rather than it's just slowly drops. You see it just dropped a little bit, and if we stare at it long enough, we'll probably see it drop some more. So basically, over time, it slowly decays, and then partway through, it starts producing less energy, and then eventually the thing just gets totally broken and stops working. And that kind of also happens with these plants, but you just have to have a biologist mess with it a little bit to make that work. So anyway, I was producing a factory. Shit, I've completely forgot because it's been a few hours. Yeah, when I tried to remake this video the second time, I was so excited. I'm just like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna immediately do it. I'm so excited. I'm uploading videos to YouTube. Yes! And yeah, everyone kind of likes sometimes watching those YouTube commentators, just talking about stuff. There was one subject I wanted to kind of monologue about, but I will save that for when I actually start producing weapons. So yes, in this game you can produce weapons, but they're not the most useful item, and you don't really need them. And I'll explain later if I get to that point what weapons are used for and whatnot. But for now, we'll just leave it at yes, you can make weapons, and they have some use, but they're not as useful as all this other stuff I got going here. Because we're on a planet, we're on a barren, deserted planet. We're like the only things living here, unless there's some extra determined. Realistically speaking, if you lived on Mars in a colony with 6 other people, realistically speaking, if someone wanted to kill you, they'd have to, it would be an individual who was potentially a psychopath, and they'd be super determined to come get you. Anyway, I'm gonna just build a little spares workshop so I can make more spares. So once that gets built, then I'll be completely self-sufficient. Now before I move on, one of these hotkeys is here we go, F7, manufacturing limits. So just so you don't want to waste all those base materials, you can set manufacturing limits on certain parts and items. So I'm going to set medical supplies to 7, or I'll do 10, which is about the closest it will let me get to the population of my base, and then I'll drop this to however windmills and solar panels I got. I think it's only 3. Yeah. So that way, I don't wind up overproducing stuff when, I could be using my metal and stuff on other things. So right now, check my supplies. So right now I have more than enough medical supplies and first aid parts. So the thing about medical supplies is not only do you need the herbs, but you also need bioplastic for that. And since I got plenty of medical supplies, I want to, at least for now, I want to save the plastic for construction purposes. So, and So you want to try and make sure everything's kind of controlled, so you don't. You just, this is a management thing. Oh, yes, I remember this. Okay, so I am about to suffer a power outage. Yes, so I'm going to have to. All right, disable everything except the turn off everything button. Pretty useful. So I'm going to turn off everything except the water pump, the oxygen generator, and the farm. So that way I don't have super issues. But yeah, I'm going to run out of power anyway. So, alright, where am I at? Okay, the night is almost over, so I might be able to recover from this. If it were like at the beginning of the night where this happened, then yeah, I'd be screwed. Okay, there we go. Getting a little power from the windmill. And the sun, oh, out of energy again. And the sun looks like it's about to come up, and it's daytime. Alright, so I'm going to have to build me another storage, power storage. I think I'm just going to do a medium size and some a little. You know what? Fuck it. Like I said, start off small, but after you've got all your necessities in order, go big. Now I want to. Yeah, I'll put this right there. Alright. So, yeah. In fact, I probably should have gone bigger with this wind turbine, but whatever. You live and you learn. Alright, let's go back. Turn everything back on. And push the accelerator. Or accelerate everything. Alright. So yeah, power collectors. I said so in the last video. Say it again. A lot of them. Alright, I'm going to build another drinking fountain since some of my guys are having issues with being thirsty. Power collector. And is it producing any electricity? Oh, no, we gotta wait for this one to fill up. Alright. And I also need to build another solar panel because it looks like that one solar panel isn't producing enough power. So I'm gonna put it right here, and I'm gonna go big and do me a big ass solar panel. If I could just get my controls to cooperate. There we go. Yeah, and actually some of these terrain obstacles you can sort of go through. Like, you can't go through mountains, but like if the humps in the ground are kind of small, or if it's just little rocks like this, then yeah, they'll clear the terrain for you. So let's see now. Oof. Now there's a problem. I do not have the resources to build that large solar panel, but that's okay. Can make more. Can always make more. Got a little ore in the machine. So yeah, I'm gonna leave the mine on just because I don't have enough ore to make the necessary metal. So here's the interesting thing. It says I got 3 metal, but it's not, you know. You may notice only 2 of it's there, but you know, it's not. So yeah, the other metal is actually in this spares workshop. And why is he making those spares? I thought I set my manufacturing limits to 3. So, but yeah, I guess he decided he would just do that one. Said, oh, is he? No, he was putting that away. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that was where that other piece of metal was. So this stuff isn't necessarily in storage. It's, you know, wherever, anywhere in the base. It could be, you know, set aside for building something. It could be inside one of these machines being turned into something. So as you can see, yeah, both the ore I have is actually inside the metal processor. So I still have it, but it's not in storage. It's in the machine, and it's going to get turned into metal. So yeah. that starch is in the bioplastic machine. So anyway, so far so good. So touch. All right. Now that we're just waiting for stuff to happen, why don't I talk about stuff? And how about going with the theme space travel, the future of space travel. So, right now, humanity, we only use chemical rockets. So basically, they put a chemical inside the rocket engine, and the rocket burns the chemical to create thrust. And there's all this talk about, future space travel technology, and even about easier ways to get into space. One subject was a space elevator. They talked about bringing stuff up into space by building a big elevator that travels along a cable connected between a ground base and a satellite. And one thing my brother asked me is that, well, when the satellite come crashing down to Earth? And I knew he was wrong. At the time, I knew he was wrong about it, but then I watched a YouTube video that explains how it works. So, basically, I still don't quite understand it, but so let's say you had a tennis ball, you tied it to a string, and you spun in a circle. Well, that tennis ball is going to try and escape because of the spin, but so that's what would keep the satellite upright. It's confrontation with gravity, it attempting to escape even though Earth's gravity and the cable is holding it down. So part of the reason why they can't do this is, one, they need a really freaking long cable to make this work. Ooh, interruption. So we are having a sandstorm right now. So one of the problems with a sandstorm is that anyone who's outside will get blown by the sand, and that'll hurt them. But I don't get too concerned with sandstorms, because yeah, people will get hurt, but generally all they gotta do is go rest in the bed and they'll be fine. And plus, I got plenty of medical supplies. I only got one guy who's outside, and he'll probably be okay. He's probably not gonna die. He'll be able to walk back, but he'll walk slower. And then this other guy wants to come out. But yeah, sandstorms don't bother me that much. And I mean, if you want to get concerned about sandstorms, then the best thing to do would be to turn off the mine, and then after everybody gets inside, turn off the airlock so nobody walks outside. So this will make them stop functioning. So that way, people don't walk out into the sandstorm. Now, there's another way to keep people from going outside during a sandstorm. You got to build a security center, which I'll do eventually, and that enables a function that if you push F6, which I can't do right now, I'm pushing F6, but it's not doing anything because I don't have a security center, but that allows you to activate an alert system. And yellow alert means that there's either a sandstorm or a solar flare is another hazard out and about, and colonists, if you activate that alert, they'll immediately take cover. The colonists outside, they'll stop whatever they're doing and they'll run inside, or walk inside, because I imagine it's pretty hard to run in a spacesuit. We don't know the gravity of this planet. It could be bigger than Earth, it could be smaller, it could be about the same size, and even if it was about the same size, those suits probably weigh, I don't know how much a spacesuit weighs, but it's probably pretty heavy. Anyway, getting back to the subject of space travel and getting up into space. So one talk was a space elevator, like I mentioned, but yeah, you need a really long cable, and it would also need to be made of something really strong. So they're talking about carbon nanotubes, which are basically tubes made of carbon, the stuff you find in coal and what. But how carbon nanotube works is kind of like diamonds. So some people may not know this, but diamonds are made of carbon just like coal. It's just diamonds have been compressed by, they're buried in the earth, so the earth's weight has compressed them. As well, the heat from the earth's crust has heated them, and because of that, the diamonds, even though they're made of carbon, they form a perfect structure that makes them hard to destroy. So carbon nanotubes is basically making a tube out of carbon, but on the same principle that you're especially engineering the carbon molecules so that they bond with each other in the best way possible, creating a very strong bond. And they say if we were to make a space elevator, we'd probably want to make the cable out of nanotubes because it could snap if it's made out of anything less than that. But another good thing I heard about carbon nanotubes is they also conduct electricity very easily because they're hollow. So particles easily flow through them without any interruption. So, you know, the cable, if they made this technology work, the cable could also be, you know, not just a suspension cable, but also a power cable as well. So that would be a good way to power the elevator. And you could have solar panels on the station or even on the ground, or maybe a big nuclear reactor on the ground. I don't know, but you know, it could work. Alright. Give me my freaking solar panel. And part of the problem is I don't have the metal to make the solar panel. Oh, whoa, there's the robot. And we're going to make that solar panel. Alright. So, now that solar panel is being made, I am going to build my next structure. And it is going to be a security, or a control room is what it's called. And I'm going to put it, I want to put it right there in that gap, but it doesn't want me to put it there. Alright, let me see if I can put a robotics fan. Nope, that gap will not accept anything anymore. I don't like that, but I don't think there's anything I can do about it. Well, in that case, the next thing I'm going to build is a landing pad. Now this is another thing on the list of stuff to do for your colony. So what a landing pad does is it allows spaceships from elsewhere to come land at your colony. And this serves several good functions. You have to get a star pad for what the landing pad provides. You can build a star pad, which is a bigger version of the landing pad, but you gotta build the landing pad first. It allows colony ships and trading ships to land. Now colony ships, what happens with them is it just delivers colonists. So that your colony, these people don't reproduce. Oddly, strangely enough, they don't have sex. They just work. I compare this game to almost like having a digital ant colony. But anyway, these people, they don't have sex, so they're not going to reproduce. So to get more colonists and replace the dead ones is to have them come in from outside. So you definitely want to have more colonists because, as you know, 7 with something this small, 7 might be good enough. But we want this colony to grow bigger. Remember, one of the achievements is 300 colonists, and one of the achievements before that is 100. So this is how we get more colonists to come in. We make a landing pad. The ships come in, colonists come in, and then you know they're different, have different skill sets. Once this is built, I can show you another menu that will show up, which is for landing pad permission. And then there are also traders who will come in, and you can give them excess stuff that you have but don't need. Like right now, I have quite a bit of plastic right now, so I can give them the plastic and either trade it for something else I might want, like maybe more food, or I can just get money, and they may have a technology available that I can purchase from them. But those things are pretty expensive. So yeah, there's that. So I want to build that landing pad mainly because I want to get some more colonists in here, because I'm having a little bit of difficulty keeping this biodome working. So I want a couple more biologists, and of course some more workers to mine and keep the machines running is a good thing. So there's that. Now I'm gonna click on one of these droids to show you something. So there's condition for droids, but then there's also integrity. Integrity is like basically the droid's lifespan. Once this drops to 0, they just break and they can't be repaired. So condition can be fixed. You just need an engineer to go fix the droid. But integrity, that's just the lifespan of the droid. There's no way to restore it. The droid will just eventually decay and break. However, you can make more droids. I call them droids. They're referred to as bots in this game, but I like calling them droids. Alright, so I just said landing permission now available. So, which button was that? Yes, F5. So, landing permission. So, what type of ships I want to, and as far as colonists, what kind of specialties I want them to have. So this is how many I have, and this is the ratio, so to speak. So right now I don't really want a whole lot of medics, so I'm going to drop that. I don't want any guards, so I'm going to keep the worker thing at 40, and yes, I need to readjust all this stuff. Alright. So, you don't want too many medics. Like a base could probably get by, at least early on, with just 2. Engineers, you want a few of those, but you don't want too many. Workers and biologists are the ones you really want a lot of, especially workers. Workers, you know, they get shit done. They move the materials, they process the materials, they harvest the materials. Workers, you want those. You definitely want a fair amount of biologists, because you want to produce food. The last thing you want is for people to start starving to death. That's the last thing you want. Engineers, you definitely want a few of those. Early on, you can get by with 1 or 2, at least 1. But later, you'll probably want some more, because you'll be developing more of these specialized machines in the factory, and they need to be operated by engineers. So let me show you something. So this icon right here is, you know, the type of worker or the type of colonist who needs to work on the machine to make it work, and these are the materials you need, and this is the outcome. So as you can see, this is an engineer icon, and this is a worker icon. So workers operate these machines in the processing factory or processing plant, and the factory machines are operated by engineers. So you will definitely want some more engineers in the future, but early on you can do without them. So I'm going to push F7 and adjust my spares up a little bit now that I got one of these. Now that I got a second solar panel, and a giant one for that matter. Or I should say a big one, not a giant one. The giant one I need technology for. It's technically referred to as a very large one, but you know. Alright. So let's see. I'm going to leave this area for Alright, so I got my first trading ship. Slur. So here's what he can buy, what he'll sell to me, and here's what I want to give him. Now all this stuff has a value, so bioplastic has a value of 10. Now the problem with traders is they have commission, so a coin only has 1 value, so you might think, oh, 10, well, commission. So even though the coin only has a value of 1, because of his commission, it actually is greater. So you see I just went up to 3, but he's now demanding something that has a value of 4. So commission can be a problem. It varies. Like his commission is pretty low, 35%. Some of them can go as high as 60, at least to that I've seen. So yeah, that can hurt you. But I'm going to take all his money and sell him all of my actually all my bioplastic won't cover it. I will leave 1 bioplastic behind and just see how much money you'd be willing to give me for what bioplastic I have available. So money, you sort of want money, because if you're unwilling to trade certain resources for something you want from them, you can just use money. So the money is only useful in trade. So if I were to just shoo away all the traders after this guy and keep this money, well, then it would be worthless to me. But if I were to invite another trader to come in and he has something that interests me, then I can use the money instead of some of these other resources, which is a good thing. Because, you know, maybe I want to keep some of those resources. Maybe I want to keep the bioplastic. In the future, that is. Right now, I don't really need it. And it's better if I sell it. Actually, I am planning on making another expansion to the colony, but it requires metal. Every building that has an inside requires as much bioplastic as it requires metal. So internal buildings require both metal and bioplastic. External buildings only require metal. However, just about everything you put inside a building requires bioplastic. So all these bunk beds required bioplastic. Just one though. Generally most items that you put inside a building only require one of whatever resource, but sometimes they might require more. But generally it's just one. Like this was one metal, that was one metal, that was one metal to build. You know, it's just no big deal. Ooh, yeah, that meteorite came kind of close. And that can happen sometimes. A meteorite can nail your colony, and that can be bad. So let's see. I have more colonists. Yeah. So once I hit close to 20, I like to keep my population a little bit below of what the oxygen could produce, because you can have visitors. Visitors are people who don't necessarily live at your colony, but they come inside and they take advantage of your services like food and room and board, and sometimes medical services. But in turn, once they've stayed there long enough, they'll leave and they'll pay you for the services. So that's the one advantage of visitors, and I guess that's why I want to keep my population a little bit on the low side, because, you know, then you have some room for some visitors, and, you know, it also it doesn't stress the oxygen system as much. And I like to have a little extra, so that way, you know, these rooms don't get stale, because you don't want these rooms to get stale. That's why you don't that's why you don't bring trees with you in this game anyway. If this were real, if this game were a little bit more grounded in real life, I think trees would probably be they'd probably work about the same to the oxygen system, I think. It's just you'd have to give them a lot of extra water. And I think part of the reason why the oxygen system wants water is because, well, water is first off, water is partly oxygen. It's H2O, 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen, so you could convert water into oxygen. On top of that, I'm not sure if many people realize this, but the air we breathe does have a small amount of water in it. Like on Earth, normally, oh, another sandstorm. I'm just going to ignore it. Actually, you know, yeah, I'm going to ignore it, but because that bed is being occupied, I'm going to put another bed in there. In fact, what the hell, I'll just fill this place up with beds for the future, because people who are not in hospital beds in this game, their condition will get worse, and that has happened. If there's a solar flare and there are people outside, they'll get exposed to it and they'll get radiation poisoning, and if you don't put them in a bed fast enough, their condition will get worse really bad and they'll die pretty quickly. So you really want people to hide when there's radiation out there. Alright, I think I'm going to finally connect those two buildings. And can I connect these buildings like that to form a triangle? For some reason I can't. I thought I could, but I can't. I originally set it up to work like that, but it doesn't want to do that. Alright, that's fine. Alright. What do I want to build next? I definitely want to build something. I think I'm going to build me another biodome, but this time make it huge. Yeah, giant ass biodome. Or should I? Decisions. You know, you gotta make those decisions. You gotta calculate those decisions. Alright, I think I'll wait for one more colony ship before I stop taking people in. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is build a robotics factory. Or a bot factory is a robotics facility. I'll make it a little one since I don't put it right about there. So I'll put it there because I get the materials from storage, but the factory produces semiconductors. So I think that'll be another thing I'll do. Semiconductor foundry. So semiconductors are used to make robots. So if these robots break, or their integrity drops and basically their life ends, they age out, then you can use a robotics factory to build new ones. On top of that, robotics factories can also have little repair stations in them, so astronauts don't have to go out and repair the robots. The robots can just automatically. Ooh. Alright, where? Okay, no more colonists. I have too many colonists right now. Alright, I have 20 of them. So, now we're going to build that giant biodome. I'm going to make it the big one, the Type 7. The very large biodome. Alright, a little timer on my phone's ringing, so that means this podcast has gone on. It's not a podcast, it's a playthrough. Durr. But that means this playthrough has gone on long enough, so we will pick this up some other time. I'll see y'all later. You have fun now.